For someone in the business of judging whether an idea will soar like the sweet tones of Bieber's voice or sink like Nortel's stock, retro joke.
You made a huge mistake as far as I'm concerned.
There was a time when you might not have banked on Arlene Dickinson. Married at 19, Arlene had 4 kids by the time she was 27, divorced at 31. The divorce got her excommunicated from the Mormon church. But worse for Arlene, the family court judge told her she would lose custody of her kids until she could prove she had the resources to look after them. Suddenly, Arlene wasn't just looking for work, she was on a mission, and woo, did she pull it off. Today, she's the head of Venture Communications. It's a marketing company based in Calgary, now worth an estimated $80 million. She's one of the country's most powerful business leaders. So how did she pull it off? Well, the secret may lie in the title of her book. It's called Persuasion, a guide to how you can influence people, not just in business, but in everyday life. And she's also got a new show, take that, O'Leary, The Big Decision. It follows Arlene and fellow dragon Jim Treliving as they debate whether or not to help struggling Canadian business owners keep their companies afloat.
These decisions are incredibly hard to make. There's people behind these businesses who have given their life and their energy and their hopes and their efforts towards building a dream.
Arlene! How are you?
I'm good.
It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Any truth to the rumor that Kevin got his own show and you're like, screw that, I want one too?
I did, actually. Yeah. I said, wait a minute, if the mean guy can get one, the nice girl should be able to have one.
It's a great concept, the idea of stepping into these companies and saying, can you save them or not? Because I imagine this is even more emotional than even Dragon's Den would be, because you get really inside these people's lives.
You know what, you really do. You get so emotionally connected with the businesses. I mean, you're talking to these people, this is their lives, they've invested everything they have emotionally and financially. It's a big deal.
We live in this culture now where we hear so much about the fact that this is the first generation that's going to have a lower standard of living than our parents. What happened?
I think it's a really complicated thing, George. I think the financial markets across the globe are to blame in many respects. We had high expectations. You know, people thought they should make 30, 40, 50, even more % in terms of the return. I mean, that's ridiculous. You know, what happened to just, you know, that old compound interest working slowly away?
Well, is it sort of an indictment on the system, though, that
Sure.
that whatever version of capitalism everybody's been really supporting over the years, maybe it doesn't work the way people said it would?
You know, I was talking about this just the other day. Somebody said to me, is it capitalism that's wrong? And I actually don't think it's capitalism that's wrong. It's the form of capitalism that's wrong. You know, there's capitalism that has a heart and a soul and cares about, has a social conscience and thinks about it.
We don't see that at government, so we don't really see that with business. We see shareholder capitalism, which is how can I increase the return on my investment? That's what we actually have, though, isn't it?
Yes, I think we do have that in government for sure. I would say that in business it's changing. I have full hope that there is a new type of business that's being formed and formulated by the next generation that has that triple bottom line mentality that says you have to do what's right financially, for the planet, for the people, and for the profit side. So I think that that's changing, and I am hopeful that people are starting to think differently about what success looks like.
What's the practical job recovery? Because that's what this comes down to. People need jobs.
They do. I mean, innovation is going to be at the center of it, right? If this country doesn't start reinvesting in innovation and looking for people with ideas, and I got to say, I really get upset when people slam RIM. That's a great example. You know, everybody talks about, oh, it's a terrible thing and iPhone's cool and all those things. But this is a Canadian company. It's actually financially quite strong. You know, I mean, there's lots of challenges, yes. It doesn't have the product that does all these things, but it's the most secure system in the globe. And why don't we support it? It's Canadian.
Is it partly because the financial sector, the business world, has kind of entered the realm of sports, in that it's become television? And it's about 24-hour channels that cover it. It's about headlines. It's about zingers. It's about personality over what's really happening behind the scenes. As the economy was collapsing, we saw it turn into this real Dr. Doom kind of world. And then you had what's the guy's name? Kramer.
Oh, yeah.
The madness of that show, right?
Kevin's uncle.
Yeah, Kevin's uncle, right. Like,
I'm sure they're related. I'm pretty darn sure.
Like, hey, 200,000 people lost their jobs. Right? It's that kind of insanity that this is just the language that people use now when it comes to the business.
I keep coming back to the people I'm talking to now. The new business that's evolving is different. I think it's different for a whole bunch of reasons. And, you know, the reason Occupy movements exist is because the people are sick of it, right? It has to change.
Is that why one reason why big decisions is so interesting to you? The fact that you can instill not just because Dragon's Den, a lot of the conversation is about is this a viable business? Can I make money? But in this situation, you get to see the more emotional side of it and actually find out the other layers that a business can provide a community.
It's so different, and is exactly that's compelling to me, because you really do get involved. I mean, my business, you know, venture is all about marketing, right? And I spent my whole life talking to people who are trying to build their businesses and figuring out what's right and wrong with their business. So being able to get inside a company and understand what's driving the entrepreneur and what the mistakes are and really help them, it's so compelling. And we have found some incredible businesses in this country through this show. It's been rewarding, it's been heartbreaking, because sometimes we've had to say no.
Yeah, tell me about that, just because I know that you're a compassionate...
You're going to say softie.
Well, you're not a softie. You're what I like to call a developed human being, right?
Oh,
like, yeah,
I like that better.
Yeah, you have multiple sides of your personality. And I know that when Kevin says no, like he said, I mean, I think he's probably got a heart in there somewhere, but when he says no, it's no. I bet you when you say no, it sucks for you.
When I say no, I try to say it with compassion. I try to say it because I've thought about it with my heart. I mean, I always say to people, you know, when I make business decisions, I do feel with my heart, but I think with my head. And I don't think I make no excuse for being emotional in business. Business is emotional. You know, if you're not emotionally engaged with the business you work for or that you're building, then what the heck are you doing every day? Why are you doing it?
Right.
Yeah. So
I hear a lot of people talk about, you know, hard work, and I get that's important, but lots of people work hard and don't get the breaks. So I wondered, in business, what role does luck play in all this?
It plays a lot of role. I mean, you know, although you know, all those sayings, you know, if it wasn't for you know, hard work, I wouldn't have any luck.
Right.
Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time, and somebody recognizes something in you that somebody else didn't see, and that's fortunate. And if you misspend that, if you take advantage of that and don't say, you know what, how lucky am I better make this and parlay this into something better and pay it forward, then shame on you.
How interesting is it for you, just in your head, do you take time to reflect that it wasn't that long ago when a judge says to you, if you want to keep your kids, you have to provide? Like, that's a really, what a switch.
It sits right here with me every day.
Really?
Every day.
What do you take from it?
That the things that really matter can be taken away from you faster than you could understand. That money is only good for the happiness it can and the freedom it brings you, that it doesn't bring you happiness, sorry. What it does is give you freedom. And freedom to be able to do the things that matter. And if those things for me are with my kids, then that's what matters to me. But I'll tell you what, George, when the judge said that to me, I just thought I'd lose it. I just thought, you know, this is the end of my world. And I could do one of two things. I could accept that, or I could, you know, fight and do what I've done. And it was the best motivator in the world for me and my kids, right?
And how do you do that and be so successful and not lose all the time that you need to spend with your kids, which is the great struggle that everybody has? You want to provide the good life for them, but that takes hours.
Yeah, my kids would tell you that they built the business with me, and they'd be right, because they sacrificed a ton. I mean, they used to, one of them was talking the other day about stories when we were, you know, when they were kids and we were building the business, and they said, oh yeah, we used to come to the office with Mom and ride around on the trolley at the office, and that was our fun for the day. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a terrible mother. You know, like I was just devastated. I thought, really, you're passing that story on? Like, can't you think of when I took you to the park? And they went, no, we don't remember that. Oh, God. So,
that's pretty heavy.
It comes back to you. Yeah.
That's an interesting place to be.
Yeah.
One of the other conversations that's been kicking out there quite legitimately is women in the boardroom. The numbers are still surprisingly low, incredibly low. What do women bring to the boardroom?
They just bring a different perspective. The same thing people and women bring to life, right? Women have a different view than men do. I wish that we would celebrate that more and elevate it more. I think that women in a boardroom approach problems differently. They will see solutions from a unique perspective. And I believe that, and I understand this, that all the boards of public companies that have women on them are more successful as businesses on a whole. The numbers are speaking for themselves. They bring a lot of value.
Do you have to have quotas in place soon to get this fixed? Because if we leave it up to the boardroom, it's getting better, but it's a slow process.
No, I don't believe in quotas in this instance. I mean, I was actually on CBC radio talking about this a while ago, and I think it's wrong to enforce it. I think you have to win on your merits, and I just believe that enough women are entering the workforce and enough competent women are going to rise to the top, and eventually it's going to self and course correct. I know I sound like Pollyanna, everyone's business is good and the women are going to be great, but I also believe that if you come with a positive outlook and you can try and help those things along, that those things will change.
All right, stick around. More of a conversation with Arlene after this.
Can I not look? No, I don't want to give it a try. I can invest without cutting a head off, can't I?
Yeah, that's good. And then
That was really bad. I didn't do that a very good job.
okay, and then
Oh! Don't take that up there.
Dr. Arlene Dickinson.
Thank God he had steel-toe boots on. All I can think about is, I've just taken somebody's toes off,
Unbelievable. That's good TV. Are there things you won't do for television?
I haven't come across it yet, but I'm reluctant to say that to the producers that are listening out there. I'm pretty squeamish about stuff like that. That was pretty gross.
And that's from out west. That's an upcoming episode of Big Decision,
Yeah.
right?
That's from a place called Port Hardy.
Okay. All right, let's anthropology questions right here. How do you think the ratings would be affected if Dragon's Den had actual dragons?
Replacing Kevin, they go sky high.
All right, so just based on language, we had to change this. Marry, nap with, or punch? Your Dragon Den co-host. Who would you marry, nap with, or punch? Jim, Kevin, Robert, or Bruce?
Oh my goodness, okay. I'd punch Kevin for sure.
You'd punch Kevin, yeah?
I'd nap with Jim, although whether he would continue napping would be an interesting question. I would probably marry Bruce.
Hey, would you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The lava life guy?
Yeah. I know, but Robert, Robert's too unpredictable, He'd bring home race cars, I'd be worried.
So you're going to be on Murdoch Mysteries, right?
Yes.
So was Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of this country. You both have Alberta connections. What else do you two have in common?
Can I get back to you on that?
You cowered for a second.
I know, I did. I went, oh, no. Well, we both love Dragon's Den. He loves the show. He's a fan of the show.
Of course, he loves Kevin, I bet, too. Now, you finish your meeting at 11 o'clock. You've had a hell of a day. You finally get home. You got one book to put out and read and relax. What's the book you relax to?
Oh, that's a great question. That changes on a regular basis. Wow. Right now I'm reading Civilization. But it's not a relaxed book,
no.
but it's such a fascinating book. And I actually find books that make me think to be very relaxing because I get lost in my mind. So it just depends.
Someone you'd like to say sorry to, and why?
Oh. That's tough. Probably it would probably be my mother.
Would you?
Yeah.
Sorry for what?
Just not spending as much time with her as I wish I was able to, yeah, because she's on the other side of the country and she's older, and I feel like I haven't given her the time and attention that I wish I had, so.
That's a good answer. You are considered one of the most powerful women in this country. How much can you bench?
I could press you.
The show is I'm into that. The show is called Big Decision, Mondays at 9 right here on CBC. And of course, you can see her on Dragon's Den as well, which is Wednesdays at 8 right here on the Mother Corporation. Arlene Dickinson, everybody. Be right back. Powerful business leader. So how did she pull it off? Well, the secret may lie in the title of her book. It's called Persuasion, a guide to how you can influence people, not just in business, but in everyday life. And she's also got a new show, take that O'Leary, The Big Decision. It follows Arlene and fellow dragon Jim Treliving as they debate whether or not to help struggling Canadian business owners keep their companies afloat.
These decisions are incredibly hard to make.
For someone in the business of judging whether an idea will soar like the sweet tones of Bieber's voice, or sink like Nortel stock, retro joke.
You made a huge mistake as far as I'm concerned.
There was a time when you might not have banked on Arlene Dickinson. Married at 19, Arlene had 4 kids by the time she was 27, divorced at 31. The divorce got her excommunicated from the Mormon church. But worse for Arlene, the family court judge told her she would lose custody of her kids until she could prove she had the resources to look after them. Suddenly, Arlene wasn't just looking for work, she was on a mission, and woo, did she pull it off. Today, she's the head of Venture Communications. It's a marketing company based in Calgary, now worth an estimated $80 million. She's one of the country's most powerful. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you, too.
Any truth to the rumor that Kevin got his own show and you're like, screw that, I want one too?
I did, actually. Yeah. I said, wait a minute, if the mean guy can get one, the nice girl should be able to have one.
It's a great concept, the idea of stepping into these companies and saying, can you save them or not? Because I imagine this is even more emotional than even Dragon's Den would be, because you get really inside these people's lives.
You know, people behind these businesses who have given their life and their energy and their hopes and their efforts towards building a dream.
Arlene! How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
There's